Jack Bennett floated near the communication station on the USS Discovery. He pushed himself back to his seat with a gentle push against the wall. At 32 years old, Jack had worked in space for nearly 10 years. He had brown hair that needed a cut and blue eyes that his mother always said were his best feature. His job was simple most days: listen to space, send messages, and make sure Earth ships could talk to each other. Today was not like most days. "Sir, I'm picking up something strange," Jack said to his supervisor, Ron Kelly. Ron was a big man with a serious face who rarely smiled. Ron moved to Jack's station and looked at the screen. "What am I looking at, Bennett?" "A signal, sir. But it's not one of ours. It's not from any Earthship or station." Ron's eyes grew wide. "Are you sure?" Jack nodded and pointed to the pattern on his screen. "Look at this. It repeats exactly every 12 seconds. Nature doesn't make patterns this perfect. And no human ship uses this frequency." Ron grabbed the ship's communication system. Captain Hill to the communication deck. Immediately, Captain Laura Hill arrived 5 minutes later. She was not tall, but she walked like someone much bigger. Her short gray hair framed a face that had seen 40 years of space travel. Everyone on the ship respected her. "What's so important, Ron?" she asked. Ron pointed to Jack. "Bennett found something. Tell her." Jack showed the captain what he had found. The signal was still coming in, perfect and steady. "It's artificial, Captain, but it's not from Earth or any human ship." Captain Hill stared at the screen for a long moment. "Can you tell where it's coming from?" Jack had already done the calculations. He pulled up a map of their solar system and pointed to a spot beyond Pluto. "Out there, Captain? Just at the edge of our system." "And you're certain it's not one of ours? Not some secret military project? The pattern is wrong, Captain." "And the technology. We don't have anything that can send signals this clear from that distance." Captain Hill's face showed no emotion, but her voice was tight. "Are you telling me we're receiving an alien signal, Bennett?" Jack took a deep breath. "Yes, Captain. I believe we are." The next 6 hours were the busiest of Jack's life. The captain called every officer to the main deck. Security teams were put on alert. Earth's government was notified. And Jack worked non-stop to decode the signal. "I think I've got it," he finally said as the ship's officers gathered around his station. "It's a message. They're using mathematics as a base, then building a simple language from it. What does it say?" Captain Hill asked. Jack looked up at her. "It says, 'We come in peace. We wish to meet.'" The room fell silent. "Could it be a trap?" asked Alan Garcia, the ship's security chief. He was always suspicious, which was good in his job. "Anything's possible," Jack admitted. "But why send a message at all if they wanted to attack? They could have just shown up. The fact that they're asking to meet, I think it's real." Captain Hill made her decision quickly. "Send a reply. Tell them we accept. Ask them to meet us at the Europa Research Station. It's isolated enough to be safe." Jack sent the message. 20 minutes later, they got a reply. The aliens agreed to the meeting in 3 days. Captain Hill looked around the room. "We need a team. Small, but with all the skills we might need." She pointed to several officers, naming them one by one. When she got to Jack, she paused. "Bennett, you're coming too." Jack was surprised. "Me, Captain? I'm not trained for first contact. You decoded their message. You might understand how they think better than anyone else. I need you there." The next 3 days passed in a blur. Jack studied everything known about possible alien contact, which wasn't much. Scientists had theories, but no one had ever met an alien before. Jack would be one of the first. The team took a small shuttle to Europa, one of Jupiter's moons. The research station there was built into the ice. It had been chosen because it was far from Earth, but still in human territory. Remember the protocols. Captain Hill told the team as they waited in the station's main hall. No sudden movements. No weapons visible. Dr. Wells will attempt communication first, then end it if needed. Dr. Samantha Wells was the ship's expert on biology and languages. She was smart and calm, the perfect person to meet an alien first. Jack was glad she would speak before him. The station's outer door opened. Everyone held their breath. She walked in alone. At least, Jack thought it was a she. The alien stood about 6 feet tall, with silver blue skin that seemed to glow from within. She had 2 arms, 2 legs, and a face that was almost human, except for the large violet eyes and the lack of a nose. She wore something like a silver jumpsuit that moved with her body. No one spoke. The alien looked at each human, then focused on Captain Hill, who wore the most decorated uniform. "Greetings," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Elara, ambassador of the Nilari people." "Doctor." Wells gasped. No one had expected the alien to speak English. Captain Hill recovered quickly. "I am Captain Lara Hill of the USS Discovery. How do you know our language?" Elara made a gesture with her hand. "We have been studying your world for many years. Your television and radio signals travel through space. We have learned much about you." The first meeting lasted 3 hours. Elara explained that her people, the Nilari, had been traveling through space for centuries. They had a rule not to contact other species until they reached a certain level of technology. Humans had finally reached that level. "We wish to establish peaceful relations," Elara said, "to trade knowledge and resources." Captain Hill was cautious, but hopeful. "We will need to consult with our governments. This decision affects all of Earth." "Of course," Elara agreed. "We understand the need for consensus." As the meeting ended and the humans prepared to return to their ship to report, Elara approached Jack. He had said little during the meeting, mostly taking notes and observing. "You are the one who decoded our message," she said. Jack was surprised. "Yes. How did you know?" "I can sense patterns in brain activity. Yours shows language processing beyond the others." Jack didn't know what to say to that. It was a clever message. Using math as a foundation was smart. Elara moved closer. "Our species have much to learn from each other. Perhaps we could continue our conversation, privately." Jack felt his heart beat faster. Was this a normal diplomatic request? Or something else? Elara tilted her head, studying his reaction. "Do you want me now or later, Jack Bennett?" Jack froze. The words were simple, but something in her tone made them feel important. The translator in his ear remained silent. She had spoken in perfect, unassisted English. He looked into her violet eyes and realized this was the moment everything changed. Not just for him, but possibly for all of humanity. Jack stood frozen, staring at Elara. Her question hung in the air between them. "Do you want me now or later?" What did she mean by that? "I think there might be a misunderstanding," Jack said slowly. Elara tilted her head. "Have I made an error?" "In your language?" "I asked when you would prefer to continue our discussion." Jack felt his face grow warm. Of course, that's what she meant. Later would be fine. "I need to report back to my ship first." Captain Hill called from across the room. "Bennett, we're leaving." Jack nodded to Elara. "Tomorrow? We can talk more then." Elara made a small movement with her hand that might have been a wave. "Until tomorrow." Jack Bennett. On the shuttle back to the Discovery, no one spoke for several minutes. They had just met an alien, an actual being from another world. It was hard to find words for such an experience. Security Chief Garcia broke the silence. "I don't trust her." Dr. Wells shook her head. "She came alone, unarmed. That shows trust on their part. Or confidence," Garcia said. They might have weapons we can't even imagine. Captain Hill raised her hand to stop the argument. We'll proceed. With caution. Bennett, she spoke to you privately. What did she say? All eyes turned to Jack. She wants to continue our discussion. She asked if I wanted to meet now or later. Garcia leaned forward. That's suspicious. Why you? I decoded there. Message, Jack said. Maybe she thinks I understand them better? Captain Hill nodded. Or maybe you're less threatening than the rest of us. You're not security or command. When they returned to the Discovery, Captain Hill called a meeting with all senior officers. They discussed the meeting with Alara for hours. Most were excited about the possibilities of contact with an advanced alien race. The Nellari could share technology, medicine, and knowledge that might help solve Earth's problems. But a few, like Garcia, worried about hidden dangers. They've been watching us for years, he reminded everyone. They know our strengths and weaknesses. We know nothing about them. Jack mostly listened. He couldn't stop thinking about Ilara. There was something about her that fascinated him. Not just that she was alien, but something in her manner. She seemed both ancient and young at the same. Timed out after the meeting, Dr. Wells pulled Jack aside. I saw how you looked at her, she said with a small smile. What do you mean? Jack asked. Alara, you're interested in her. Jack shook his head. I'm interested in her species, their culture, their language. That's all. Dr. Wells laughed. Sure. Just be careful. We don't know much about their customs or biology. Jack felt his face grow warm again. It's not like that. The next day, the human team returned to Europa Station. This time, Ilara brought 2 other Nallari with her. One was introduced as Kiran, a scientist. The other was Vilex, who was described as a protector, probably their version of security. The meeting was more formal than the first. Captain Hill presented questions from Earth's governments. How many Nallari were there? How many ships did they have in our solar system? What were their intentions? Ilara answered patiently. Her people numbered in the billions, spread across many star systems. They had only 1 ship near Earth, and their intentions were peaceful exchange of knowledge and possible trade. We have followed your species for generations, Ilara explained. We have watched you grow from using simple tools to building space stations. We believe you are ready to join the larger community of intelligent species. There are others? Dr. Wells asked, her voice excited. Many, Ilara confirmed. Some friendly, some not. That is partly why we have come. To prepare you. Captain Hill frowned. Prepare us for what? The universe is vast, but not empty, Ilara said. Some species expand through conquest rather than exploration. We believe in helping younger species protect themselves. This information changed the tone of the meeting. Suddenly, the Nallari weren't just visitors, but potential allies against unknown threats. After several hours, they took a break. Jack found himself alone with Ilara in one of the station's observation rooms. Through the thick window, they could see the icy surface of Europa. Your world is very cold, Ilara said, looking out at the frozen landscape. This isn't our world, Jack explained. This is just a moon. Earth is much warmer, with oceans and forests and deserts. I would like to see it someday, Ilara said. Jack smiled. Maybe you will, if our people become friends. Ilara turned to him. I hope we will. Friends, I mean. Can I ask you something? Jack said. Something personal? Of course. Yesterday, when you asked if I wanted you now or later, in our culture, that phrase can have a different meaning. A more intimate meaning. Ilara's eyes widened slightly. I see. In our culture, being direct about time is considered respectful. To waste someone's time is the worst insult. I was trying to honor your schedule. Jack nodded. Cultural differences. There will probably be many more misunderstandings between our people. Then we must work hard to understand each other, Ilara said. They stood in comfortable silence for a moment, looking out at the stars. Your species is young, but you learn quickly, Ilara said. That is rare and valuable. And your species? How would you describe the Nelari? Ilara thought for a moment. We are patient. We plan in terms of centuries, not years. But we can be surprised, like when we found your signals. Your art, your music. They were unexpected. Jack was about to ask more when alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed in the corridors. Captain Hill's voice came over the station speakers. All personnel, report to the main hall immediately. Jack looked at Ilara. What's happening? For the first time, he saw fear in her alien eyes. They found us, she whispered. Who? The Vex. They hunt my people, and now they've come here. Jack didn't understand everything, but he knew danger when he heard it. Come on, he said, taking Ilara's arm. We need to get to the others. As they hurried through the station, Ilara explained quickly. The Vex are conquerors. They take technologies from other species by force. They have been hunting the Nelari for generations. Because of your advanced technology? Because of what we can do, Ilara said. Abilities your kind would consider unusual. Before Jack could ask what she meant, they reached the main hall. Captain Hill and the others were gathered around a communication screen. On it was a face that was definitely not human or Nelari. It had rough, gray skin and 4 small black eyes. Surrender the Nelari to us, the creature was saying, or we will destroy your station and your ship. The room fell silent as everyone stared at the screen. The alien creature waited for an answer, its 4 black eyes unblinking. Captain Hill stepped forward. This is Captain Lara Hill of the Earthship Discovery. We do not respond to threats. The Vex made a sound that might have been a laugh. You do not understand the danger, human. The Nelari are not what they seem. Give them to us, and we will leave your system in peace. We don't hand over guests to anyone who demands them, Captain Hill said firmly. Leave our system now. The screen went black. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Garcia said what everyone was thinking. We need to prepare for an attack. Captain. Hill nodded. Bennett, contact the Discovery. Tell them to be ready for emergency launch. Dr. Wells, gather all research data. We may need to evacuate. Jack moved to the communication station. As he sent the warning to the Discovery, the station shook violently. The lights flickered. They're firing on us, someone shouted. Everyone to the shuttle, Captain Hill ordered. Move. The team ran for the docking bay where their shuttle waited. Jack looked for Ilara and found her with the other Nelari. She caught his eye and motioned for him to follow the other humans. That another blast hit the station. This one was stronger, and Jack was thrown against a wall. When he got up, he saw that part of the ceiling had collapsed, blocking the corridor ahead. He was cut off from the others. Jack, Ilara called from behind him. She had stayed back. This way. Jack followed her down a different corridor. Where are we going? There's another way to the docking bay, she explained. Through the maintenance tunnels. They reached a small door. Ilara placed her hand on the control panel, but nothing happened. The power is out in this section, she said. Jack looked around for another way. There was none. We're trapped. Ilara looked at the door for a moment. Then she placed her hand directly on the metal. To Jack's amazement, the metal began to glow under her touch. It softened and moved, creating an opening. How did you do that? Jack asked, stunned. There's no time to explain, Ilara said. We must hurry. They crawled through the small opening into a narrow maintenance tunnel. The air was cold, and their breath made small clouds in front of them. "The Vex," Jack said, as they moved through the tunnel. "Why are they hunting your people?" Ilara was quiet for a moment. "My people have abilities that others want. We can communicate with matter at its most basic level, change it, control it, like you did with the door. Yes, the Vex want this power for themselves. They would use it to conquer and destroy." Jack thought about this as they crawled. "So that's why you were watching Earth, to see if we would be like the Vex?" "Partly," Ilara admitted. "We needed to know if he would use our knowledge wisely. Many species cannot handle such power." They reached another door. This time, Ilara didn't need to use her abilities. The power was still working in this section, and the door opened normally. They found themselves in a small storage room near the docking bay. Through a window, they could see the human shuttle was gone. It had already left. They couldn't wait, Jack said, feeling a mix of relief and worry. "At least they got away." "My people also left," Ilara said, looking at a display on her wrist. "But they left me a small craft. It's on the other side of the station." The station shook again as another blast hit it. Warning lights flashed, and an automated voice announced, "Hull breach in Section 7. Emergency protocols activated. We need to move," Jack said. "The station's breaking apart." They ran through the corridors, following Ilara's directions. Twice they had to stop and hide as strange creatures moved past, Vex soldiers searching the station. They were even more frightening up close, with gray, rough skin and powerful, four-armed bodies. Finally, they reached an airlock on the far side of the station. Through the window, Jack could see a small silver craft attached to the station. "That's your ship?" he asked. Ilara nodded. "It's small, but it can take us to my main vessel." "What about the Discovery? I need to get back to my ship." "The Vex will be hunting all of us now," Ilara said. "Your ship may not be safe." As if to prove her point, a loud explosion sounded from somewhere in the station. The floor beneath them shook so hard that Jack nearly fell. "We have no choice," Ilara said. "We must leave now." Jack knew she was right. He helped her open the airlock, and they entered the small Nilari craft. It was barely big enough for the two of them, with smooth silver walls and strange controls that glowed with blue light. Ilara touched the controls, and the craft detached from the station. Through the small window, Jack watched as Europa's research station grew smaller behind them. Parts of it were now on fire, with debris floating in space around it. "Where are we going?" Jack asked. "To join my ship," Ilara said. "We need to warn them about the Vex." As their small craft flew away from the station, Jack saw a large, dark shape move against the stars. It was unlike any ship he had ever seen, with spikes and rough edges that made it look like a floating piece of rock. "Is that the Vex ship?" he asked. Ilara nodded. "One of them. They usually travel in groups of 3. Jack watched as the Vex ship fired on the remains of the station, destroying it completely. "What about the Discovery?" he asked, thinking of Captain Hill and the others. "And your main ship? Are they safe?" "I don't know," Ilara admitted. "I've sent a signal, but there's been no response." They flew in silence for several minutes. Jack tried to process everything that had happened. In just a few days, he had met aliens, been attacked by different aliens, and was now fleeing on an alien ship. It was a lot to take in. "I'm sorry," Ilara said suddenly. "I never meant to bring this danger to your people." "You didn't know the Vex would find you here," Jack said. "But I should have considered the possibility. My people thought we had lost them several star systems back." Jack looked at her. Despite her alien appearance, he could see the worry and guilt in her face. "We'll figure this out," he said. "Humans are good at dealing with unexpected problems." Ilara smiled slightly. "Yes, I've noticed that about your species. You adapt quickly. Their craft suddenly shook as a beam of energy passed close by. A warning. Light flashed on the control panel. They've seen us, Ilara said, her voice tense. Hold on. She moved her hands quickly over the controls. The small craft turned sharply and accelerated. Jack felt himself pressed back against his seat by the force. Can this ship outrun them? He asked. No, Ilara said simply. But we don't need to outrun them. We just need to reach my main ship. In the distance, Jack could see a flash of silver against the black of space. It was the Nalari vessel, sleek and beautiful, compared to the rough Vex ships. There it is, Ilara said. We're almost there. Another energy beam passed by them, closer this time. The small craft shook violently. There. Getting better at aiming, Jack said. Ilara's hands moved even faster over the controls. We need more speed. To Jack's surprise, she reached out and took his hand, placing it on one of the glowing controls. I need your help, she said. Think about reaching the ship. Focus on it. Jack didn't understand, but he did as she asked. He focused his thoughts on the Nalari ship ahead of them. To his amazement, the control under his hand grew warmer and glowed brighter. Their small craft surged forward with new speed. The small craft shot forward with amazing speed. Jack felt like his body was being pushed deep into his seat. The stars outside the window blurred as they raced toward the Nalari ship. How am I doing this? Jack asked, watching the control glow. Under his hand. You're not, Ilara said. I am, but your mind is helping me focus. My people can share mental energy when we touch. Another blast from the Vex ship passed them, missing by inches. The small craft shook, but kept going. We're almost there, Ilara said. Just a little longer. The Nalari ship grew larger in their view. It was beautiful, shaped like a leaf with smooth curves, and a surface that shined like silver. As they got closer, a small opening appeared in its side. There's our way in, Ilara said. She guided their craft toward the opening. Behind them, the Vex ship fired again. This time, the blast hit them. The small craft spun wildly, throwing Jack against the wall. Warning lights flashed everywhere. The engines are damaged, Ilara shouted over the noise of alarms. We're losing power. Jack saw the opening in the Nalari ship getting closer, but they were moving too fast and at the wrong angle. They were going to crash. Can you slow us down? He asked. Ilara's hands moved quickly over the controls, but nothing happened. The systems aren't responding. We need to jump. Jump? Into space? Ilara pointed to a small cabinet. There are 2 emergency suits in there. Put one on quickly. Jack opened the cabinet and found 2 silver suits that looked like thin fabric. He handed one to Ilara and put the other one on over his clothes. It adjusted to fit him perfectly. These will protect us for a short time in space, Ilara explained. When I open the door, jump toward my ship. Don't stop, don't look back. Just jump. Jack nodded, though his heart was racing with fear. He had trained for spacewalks, but never like this. Never while under attack. Ilara touched a control, and a small door opened in the side of their craft. The air rushed out, and Jack felt the strange pull of space. Together, they jumped. For a moment, Jack felt like he was floating. There was no up or down, no sense of direction. He could only see the Nalari ship ahead and follow Ilara's silver form as she moved through space with practiced ease. Behind them, their small craft exploded as another blast from the Vex ship hit it. The force pushed Jack forward, sending him tumbling toward the Nalari ship faster than he expected. He saw the opening getting closer, but he was going to miss it. He was going to fly past the ship and into open space. Suddenly, he felt something grab his foot. Ilara had caught him. With a strength that surprised him, she pulled him toward the opening. They tumbled inside together, just as the door closed behind them. Air filled the small chamber they were in. Jack lay on the floor, breathing hard, his heart pounding in his chest. They had made it. Alara removed her helmet, and Jack did the same. "Are you hurt?" she asked. Jack checked himself. "No, I'm okay." "You?" "I'm fine." She helped him stand. "Come, we need to get to the control room." They moved through the Nilari ship quickly. It was larger than Jack had expected, with wide corridors and rooms filled with technology he couldn't begin to understand. Other Nilari moved about, some giving Jack curious looks as he passed. They reached the control room, a large space with windows that showed the stars outside. Several Nilari were working at stations around the room. One of them was Kiran, the scientist Jack had met at the Europa station. "Alara," Kiran said when he saw them. "We feared you were lost." "We nearly were," Alara said. "Where is the Discovery? Did the humans escape?" Kiran pointed to a screen that showed a small ship moving away from Jupiter. "They're there. They're safe for now, but the Vex are following them. We need to help them," Jack said. "They don't have the technology to fight the Vex." Kiran looked at Jack, then at Alara. "This is not our war. We should leave this system before more Vex arrive." "If we leave, the humans will die," Alara said firmly. "I will not abandon them." Kiran and they. Other Nilari exchanged looks. Jack could tell there was some disagreement among them. "The human ship is sending a message," one of the Nilari said. "It's on a frequency they think the Vex can't detect." "Let us hear it," Alara commanded. The voice of Captain Hill filled the room. "To any Nilari vessels. This is Captain Hill of the Discovery. We are under pursuit by an alien vessel. Our engines are damaged. We cannot outrun them. If you can hear this, we request assistance." "We must help them," Alara said to Kiran. "And the others. They would do the same for us." Kiran shook his head. "You don't know that. We barely know these humans." "I know them," Jack said, stepping forward. "I know my captain, my crew. They would never abandon someone who needed help, even someone they just met." The Nilari looked at him, their expressions hard to read. "Please," Jack continued, "my people aren't as advanced as yours. We can't fight the Vex alone, but that doesn't mean we deserve to die." Alara placed her hand on Jack's shoulder. "He's right. The humans offered us shelter. They refused to surrender us to the Vex. We owe them our help." After a moment, Kiran nodded. "Very well, but this decision may cost us dearly." Alara turned to Jack. "Your ship is damaged. We need to know exactly what systems are affected, so we can help them." "I need to talk to them," Jack said. "Can you get me in contact with the Discovery?" One of the Nilari worked at a control panel. Soon, Captain Hill's voice came through again. "This is Captain Hill. Who am I speaking with?" "Captain, it's Jack Bennett." There was a pause. "Bennett, you're alive? Where are you?" "I'm on the Nilari ship. We want to help you. What's your status?" "Our engines are at 30% power. Life support is stable, but we can't outrun the Vex ship. It's gaining on us." Jack looked at Alara. "Can we get to them in time?" Alara spoke to the other Nilari in their language, too fast for Jack to follow. Then she turned back to Jack. "We can intercept the Vex ship, but we cannot simply destroy it. Their technology is different from ours. Their shields are designed to resist our weapons. Then what can we do?" Jack asked. Alara was quiet for a moment, thinking. There might be a way, but it would be dangerous, and it would require something unexpected, something the Vex wouldn't predict. "Like what?" "Your people think differently than mine," Alara explained. "The Nilari rely on calculation and precision. The Vex understand this and prepare for it. But humans ... Humans are unpredictable. You follow instincts and emotions as much as logic. Jack nodded slowly, beginning to understand. You want me to come up with a plan, something a Nellery wouldn't think of. Yes, something that doesn't make logical sense. The Vex prepare for logic. Jack thought for a moment. When I was in the Earth's Navy, before I joined the space program, we had a tactic for when we were outgunned. We called it playing dead. We would shut down all systems, making the enemy think we were critically damaged. When they came close, to finish us off, we would suddenly power up and attack. That's perfect, Ilara said. The Vex would never expect such a strategy. It's too risky, too illogical. She turned to the other Nellery and explained Jack's plan. There was some argument, but eventually they agreed. Tell your captain to shut down all systems except life support, Ilara told Jack. Make it look like their ship is failing completely. We will hide behind Jupiter's moon, Callisto. When the Vex approach your ship, we will attack from behind, and your ship can power up again and escape. Jack relayed the plan to Captain Hill. After a brief hesitation, she agreed. It's risky, but we don't have many options. We'll do it. And Bennett ... Good work. As the Nellery ship moved into position, Ilara took Jack aside. Your idea is either brilliant or foolish. I can't decide which. Jack smiled. Sometimes the best ideas are both. The Nellery ship moved silently behind Callisto, one of Jupiter's large moons. From here, they could watch the Discovery and the Vex ship without being seen. Jack stood with Ilara in the control room, watching the screens. The Discovery had shut down most of its systems. It drifted through space, looking damaged and helpless. The Vex are approaching your ship, Kiran reported. They're moving slowly, probably suspicious. Will they take the bait? Jack asked. We'll know soon, Ilara sighed. The Vex are cautious, but also greedy. They won't want to lose the chance to capture a human ship. Minutes passed in tense silence. Jack watched as the Vex ship moved closer to the Discovery. It was now only a few miles away. They're scanning the Discovery, Kiran said, looking for signs of life and power. Captain Hill knows to keep the emergency systems running at minimum levels, Jack said. It should look like they're barely surviving. Ilara touched Jack's arm. Your plan is working. The Vex are moving into capture position. They're extending their docking arms. Jack took a deep breath. Now, the Nellery ship shot out from behind Callisto, its engines flaring bright against the darkness of space. At the same time, the Discovery suddenly came to life, its lights turning on and engines firing. The Vex ship was caught by surprise. It tried to turn, to bring its weapons to bear on both threats, but it was too slow. The Nellery ship fired first. Beams of blue energy struck the Vex ship's engines. The Discovery fired too, targeting the Vex ship's weapon systems. It's working, Jack shouted as he watched the Vex ship spin from the impact, but the Vex quickly recovered. It returned fire, hitting the Nellery ship with a powerful blast. The ship shook and warning lights flashed. Shields at 60%, one of the Nellery reported. They're strong. The Discovery moved closer, still firing. The Vex ship was now caught between the two ships, taking fire from both sides. Their shields are weakening, Kiran said, but not fast enough. Jack watched the battle, feeling helpless. The plan was working, but not well enough. The Vex ship was too powerful. It continued to fire at both ships, causing damage with each. Then Jack had another idea. Ilara, you said your people can communicate with matter, right? Change it? Yes, but not at this distance. What if we got closer? Could you affect their ship directly? Ilara looked uncertain. It would be dangerous. We would need to get very close, within their weapons range. But could it work? Possibly. If we could touch their hull, we might be able to disrupt their power systems. Jack turned to Kieran. Can we send a message to the Discovery? I need to talk to Captain Hill. Kieran opened a channel. Captain Hill's voice came through, sounding tense. Bennett, what's happening? Jack explained his new plan quickly. The Discovery would distract the Vex ship with continuous fire, while the Nellari ship got close enough for Alara to use her abilities. It's risky, Captain Hill said, but we don't have many options. We'll keep them busy. Good luck. The Nellari ship moved forward, accelerating toward the Vex vessel. The Discovery increased its fire, focusing all weapons on the Vex ship's forward section. Prepare for impact, Alara warned. This will not be gentle. Jack held onto a railing as the Nellari ship slammed against the side of the Vex vessel. The impact threw him forward, but he managed to stay on his feet. We're attached, Kieran reported, but our shields are failing. We don't have much time. Alara moved quickly to a small door. I need to go outside, touch their hull directly. I'm coming with you, Jack said. Alara looked like she wanted to argue, but nodded instead. Put your suit back on. They dressed quickly in the silver spacesuits. Alara led Jack to an airlock, near where their ship was connected to the Vex vessel. 2 other Nellari joined them, also in suits. Stay close to me, Alara told Jack as the airlock opened. And whatever happens, don't let go. They stepped out into space. Jack could see the rough, dark surface of the Vex ship just a few feet away. It looked even more frightening up close, with strange patterns carved into its hull. Alara floated toward it, with Jack and the other Nellari following. When she reached the Vex ship, she placed both hands flat against its surface. Join hands, she instructed. We need to combine our energy. Jack took Alara's hand with his right, and one of the other Nellari's hand with his left. They formed a circle, all touching the ship's hull. Focus, Alara said. Think about energy flowing through you, into the ship. Jack closed his eyes. He didn't really understand what he was supposed to do, but he tried to imagine energy moving. Through his body, through his hands, into the Vex ship. He felt a strange warmth flow through him. When he opened his eyes, he saw that his hands were glowing with a soft blue light. The light spread from their hands across the Vex ship's hull, flowing like water over its surface. The ship beneath them shuddered. Through his suit, Jack could feel vibrations in the hull. It's working, Alara said. Their power systems are failing. The blue light continued to spread, covering more and more of the Vex ship. Jack felt suddenly tired, as if the energy flowing through him was draining his strength. Hold on, Alara encouraged. Just a little longer. The Vex ship shook violently. Parts of its hull began to crack, blue light shining through the gaps. We need to go, one of the other Nellari said urgently. The ship is becoming unstable. They broke their circle and pushed away from the Vex ship, floating back to the Nellari vessel. As soon as they were inside and the airlock closed, Kieran's voice came through their suits. Get to the control room now. The Vex ship is about to explode. They raced through the ship, removing their helmets as they ran. When they reached the control room, Kieran was already working the controls. Detaching from the Vex ship, he reported. Engines at full power. The view screen showed the Vex ship growing smaller as they moved away. Its surface was covered with blue cracks, light pouring out from inside. The Discovery is clear. Another. Nellari reported. They're moving away at full speed. Jack watched as the Vex ship suddenly exploded in a flash of blue and white light. The force of the explosion pushed their ship forward, causing it to shake, but they were far enough away to avoid serious damage. We did it, Jack said quietly, hardly believing it was over. Alara looked tired but pleased. Your plan worked, both of them. Our plan? Jack corrected her. I couldn't have done it without you. The Nellery ship moved to join the Discovery. Both ships had taken damage, but both were still flying. Captain Hill's voice came through the communication system. Bennett, are you there? What's your status? I'm here, Captain. We're all okay. Good work. That was either the bravest or the craziest thing I've ever seen. Maybe both. Jack smiled. Thank you, Captain. After they finished talking to the Discovery, Ilara took Jack to a quiet room where they could rest. Large. Windows showed the stars outside, with Jupiter's massive form in the distance. Your people fought to protect mine, Ilara said. Even though you barely know us. Why? Jack thought about it. I guess that's what humans do. We help when we can. The Nellery Council will want to meet your leaders now, Ilara said. This changes things. The Vex will send more ships eventually, but now we face them together. Is that good or bad? Jack asked. It's good, Ilara said with a small smile. Very good. Our species complement each other. Where we are logical, you are intuitive. Where we are cautious, you are bold. She moved closer to him. Do you understand now? Why I asked if you wanted me now or later. Jack looked into her violet eyes. I think so. You were asking when I wanted to start working with you. Learning from each other. Yes, Ilara said. But maybe there was more to it than that. Maybe I was drawn to your human unpredictability from the beginning. She reached out and took his hand, intertwining her fingers with his in a very human gesture. So I ask again, Jack Bennett, now that we have time, do you want me now or later? Jack smiled. Now, he said. Definitely now. Outside the window, Earth shone like a blue jewel in the distance. It looked different to Jack now, smaller. Somehow, but also more precious. It was no longer humanity's only home. It was just the beginning.